So in this service here, we pay homage to transgendered people who have died through foul play or hate crimes and everything. And it's fine and good to pay homage to them. It shows a kind of caring and some kind of what we need to be aware of in the society. But let's not forget, too, that transgender people have made some tremendous strides in recent years. You know, not long ago there was a wave of awareness about transgendered people. There was more publicity about it, and people heard and understood. And I felt like I was riding the crest of that wave. And now that the wave has settled and I'm just living my trans life, it's very nice to be able to walk out in public as my transgendered self and not worry about it. Before I came out, I used to have these dreams that I was on Mars, the planet Mars, in an encampment, some kind of airtight thing where you could not go outside because the air was unbreathable and it was too cold, and we always had to stay in, a small group of us. And the only way home in this dream was on the Space Shuttle Columbia, which wasn't too promising. And the isolation I felt in it was because subconsciously I was expressing the isolation I was feeling, being not ready to come out yet. And well, when I finally did, and that liberation came from me. Other liberties came too. Now it's illegal to discriminate against trans people in the workplace, which has helped me personally. And all right, even in public, we transgender people can go into the restrooms of our chosen gender without any legal harassment, and that's a good thing too. We have attained liberties that we didn't have before because of the decency of people around us too. And in spite of the political turmoil in recent times, everything, reason has prevailed, and I've benefited by it, and I'm eternally grateful for it.
Hi, I'm Gray. I use they, them pronouns and identify as non-binary and gender non-conforming. Trans Day of Remembrance for me makes me think about the material challenges that a trans person can face in their lives, in terms of housing, in terms of employment and getting money and the material things that they need to be safe in this world. I think about in Trans Day of Remembrance and thinking about the trans people who have passed this year. It's really mostly Black women, Black trans women, and Indigenous trans women. So I think a lot about the ways in which racial justice work really has a place at the table in these conversations about Trans Day of Remembrance. And I think that for me, I really want to be putting my effort, and for us all to be putting our effort towards helping trans people while they're alive, towards finding ways to financially support Black trans women and Indigenous, Two-Spirit, and trans women and folks, because the way that we can make amends for this wrong is to celebrate people while they're still alive, and really support them in the ways that they get punished in society for not being professional looking because they're trans. So yeah, I think for me Trans Day of Remembrance is both an honoring of the challenges that the trans community faces, and specifically Indigenous and Black trans community faces, but it's also a call for us to show up for trans people while they're still alive.
Hi everybody, my name is Elliot, and I'm here to talk about what the Transgender Day of Remembrance means to me. I'm a transgender man, and before I start, I just want to acknowledge that I'm very privileged to be able to be speaking here today. Many trans people lose their lives every year simply for being trans, and for me to be able to not only out myself in front of people and talk about it, but I'm able to do that without fear, without the threat of violence, without the threat of death. And a lot of the reason why that is because first of all, I'm white, and I'm also a man, and I also have access to healthcare that allowed me to transition and pass as a man. And many people don't have these things and are killed because they are trying to do what I'm doing. So just recognizing that privilege is very important to me before I get started. In terms of the Transgender Day of Remembrance, that is November 20th, 2020. And it's a day where we honor the memory of those whose lives were taken from this world because of anti-transgender violence, because of hatred, because of ignorance, because of a combination of those things. So that day is really to honor those lives that have been lost. It's hundreds every year around the world. It's many more than we could even list because there are many that we don't know about. There are many people who are never found, and it's just very important for us to honor their memory on this day. I also think it's important to honor other things about trans people, not to take away from honoring their memory, but trans lives matter while they're alive too. So I believe that we need to be celebrating trans triumphs and joy and accomplishments and celebrate trans people while they're alive and not only honor them once they are gone. So I have a few amazing things that trans people have done. I haven't memorized it, sorry, but here we go. Let's see. The president-elect Joe Biden was the first to mention transgender people in a victory speech. 6 trans people have been elected to office in this past election, including the first out non-binary person to serve in the state legislature, Maureen Turner. We have Stephanie Byers of Kansas, who has become the first openly trans state lawmaker of color ever elected as a Native American trans woman. Sarah McBride of Delaware is the first out trans senator in the United States. A school for trans people of all ages has opened in Bangladesh. Ariel Keel, a trans Filipino woman, was crowned as Miss New Zealand. A trans boy named Connor Fair was crowned homecoming king at his school in Georgia. Citibank now allows trans and non-binary people with their bank to use their chosen name on their cards instead of their legal name. And Gavin Grimm, who was the boy to sue his school district over bathroom policies, has won the 5-year battle and successfully sued the court ruling that the anti-trans bathroom policies in schools are unconstitutional. So those are just a few amazing things that have happened this year that trans people are doing, trans activists are driving, many of whom are people of color, many of whom are trans women of color. Both of those populations are usually the most affected by violence against trans people. So it's amazing to see the work that can be done by my community, and it just goes to show, trans lives matter. When we're alive, we are joyous, we are triumphant, we are accomplished, and the people who are here can honor the people who are no longer. So just remembering that as well is so important to me, because we're alive now and we deserve recognition and support before we're killed. So I've been very privileged to speak here today, and I will be honoring and remembering my trans siblings who have been killed on the Trans Day of Remembrance and every other day. So I hope that the rest of the service goes well, and hopefully see you all again in person very soon.